For personalised, private, no waiting, in-home care. rightathome.com.au. This is Without Bias on SEN.
Hello and welcome to Without Bias here on 1116 SEN, your home of sport for Bowls Australia and Right at Home, the right care right at home, Australia's premier in-home care provider. For personalised, private, no waiting in-home care, visit rightathome.com.au. Val Febbo here with you from Bowls Australia, of course, and looking forward to tonight's show because we've got two Right at Home Jackaroos that are going to be making their international debut in September, October in Scotland. Looking forward to hearing from Nick Carl a little later, but before that, we've got Cassandra Millerick who is joining me on the line. Cass, welcome to the show, and you must be pretty excited for September, October to roll around.
Hi, Val. Thank you very much for having me. I am very excited for September. Seems like a dream come true, not going to lie.
Yeah, I can imagine you would be extremely excited. And what does it mean to you to be able to represent the Right at Home Jackaroos?
It means the world to me. I feel like I've made myself proud and my family and friends proud. I just feel like I'm going to accomplish one of my bucket lists.
And you mentioned your family, Cass, and you've had your sister, Bolivia. She's played for the Right at Home Jackaroos before. Will you sound out her for advice, considering she's been through the process recently?
Yes and no. Yes, I will, just to see everything that she went through, etc., etc. No, because I was there when she got her debut cap number at Broadbeach. It was a very remarkable day, so I remember it's just one of those days that I could never forget what happened, and just looking from a point of view, I could see what was going on.
Have you set her number of international caps as a target for you to try and beat and have one up on your twin?
Yeah, I have looked into that. But, look, I would love to always try and beat it. Like, we're always, very...
competitive?
Yeah, competitive, sorry. But, look, just getting my cap number would just be, yeah, like I said, a dream come true. So once that comes into my hands, then I can work on what's next.
Well, how competitive were the two of you as young children when you were playing each other? Obviously, you're growing up together, so you're doing a lot of the same things. And just how competitive is that relationship between the two?
Oh, well, we're not going to lay down for each other, I can tell you that. But when we were growing up in the juniors, there was a lot of so Bolivia and I would always play like either singles finals together or against each other, sorry. So it was, one of us would win, obviously. But, very competitive. I don't even know who's in front or who's winning. But, yeah, we were just very competitive. That's all I know.
Amazing. Well, looking forward to seeing you in Scotland as both Millerick twins will have international caps, which is quite unbelievable. But when you were growing up, Cass, who was your initial inspiration to become a Jackaroo?
Well, ever since my sister got her cap and number, that was a part of my inspiration. My dad, when my sister got her cap, my dad, that look on his face, I've always wanted to do it for him so then he can, well, hopefully look at me the same way. I'm sure he will. But that was in the past kind of thing, but it's still now. But now that list has grown a mile. So obviously Kevin, my fiance, Liam, my boss from Moema Bowling Club, he's got such an inspiration, so supportive towards all my goals. I've got Stuart, Swanee and Shirley. These people are a big part of my life and my success. I can't thank them enough, and I just want to do good and well for them and for myself, but yeah, more for everybody else.
That's amazing. And before we get to the people at Moama, will your dad make the trip up to Scotland or just going to have to sort of live vicariously through your messages?
I think he might have to live through my messages. I'm not 100% sure. He hasn't said anything. He did inquire about my flights, but I'm not 100% sure.
Surely Kevy's family can put him up for a while, surely.
Oh, honestly, I think they would love that.
That'd be awesome. Well, speaking of Kevin Anderson, your fiance works at Moama. You've got Stuart White from Moama as well. And you mentioned him with Swanee, and he's a great man, Swanee Warledge, one of the most supportive people at the club, plus gives a lot back to the sport. But also, as you mentioned, Liam at Moama. How supportive has the club been for you since you made the move down to Victoria from Queensland? Obviously, it's such a big shift in your life, but it seems as though you've gone from strength to strength.
The club has been very supportive, I'm not going to lie there. It was a very hard move, moving from Queensland to Victoria. Well, we actually live in New South Wales.
Well, yes, true, actually. It's Moama plays under Victoria.
Sorry. Yeah, but honestly, I've coming up in the world, growing up, everything like that, I've always been supported, but being at Moama is just, I've never been supported or loved so much, and it makes me feel good, and that's when I play good. But I'm just overwhelmed. It's so good. They support me so well. I can play a triples tournament down the road and they will support me. But it's just little things like that, or I can be like getting my cap number. That's a big deal. But yeah, they're so supportive. I love that from the club.
It is one of the premier clubs, and I can urge anyone out there listening to, if you are ever in the Moama-Echuca region, get to the Moama Bowling Club. They are such good people. The facilities there are top-notch. If you want to have a roll or if you want to just go there for dinner, it's absolutely wonderful. So make sure that you do get over there if you can. 6 Shore Street, Moama. There you go, Cass. I remember the address from all the years going there for the BPL. But when you head to Scotland,
yep,
what are you hoping to learn from that trip? Because obviously the conditions are going to be very different. So what are you hoping to take out of it?
Learning, all I know is that I can take my experience over to Scotland from what I know, but going there, just seeing what everybody else has been through, how they learn how to play bowls, what shots they play, etc., all that sort of stuff. I think I will come back with a bucket load of learning skills. I'm sure I will learn a million things over there. All I'm going to do over there is just keep my ears pierced and just listen to everything on what everyone has to say. And
in terms of the conditions, what are you expecting?
Well, I'm guessing it's going to be like our trial at Traralgon Bowling Club, where we had like a BPL setup kind of thing. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm guessing it's something like that.
Well, considering you've played the BPL, I think things might go pretty well for you. You've won it as well back a couple of years ago. But how much will you lean on your experience travelling internationally for the Trans-Tasman in terms of going overseas for an event? Because obviously it can be quite grueling. The days are long. So how much will you be leaning on that?
Well, New Zealand is only down the road compared to Scotland, I'm not going to lie. But, all I can do is, take all my experience from New Zealand and hopefully take everything, all my experience from New Zealand, all my experience from Australia, take it over to Scotland and then just do my best. And if I don't seem to succeed, I would have learnt something. But, I will just, keep my ears pierced and listen to everything, what everyone has to say, and hopefully just do my best.
100%, and I'm sure you will, Cass. But I also want to ask about the Australian Open that's just concluded. You're back in Moama now, so how have you settled back to life on the Murray after being on the sunny Gold Coast for a couple of weeks?
Well, for starters, it is cold. I'm not going to lie there. I had 1 week off bowls after the Australian Open, so I wasn't rolling a bowl or anything, just working. But then last week I've had my head down to get back on track again. So trying to practice as much as I can, but also look after myself at the same time, so not wearing myself out. But just trying to probably do 3, 4, 5 times of drills a week, and then just having a couple of practices just with some random people around the club, just so I don't get bored of the same stuff.
Nice. Fantastic. And how did you assess your AO campaign? You had a really good run in the women's pairs. If not for a Chloe Stewart bomb in the final bowl, you would have been standing there in the final with Kylie Lavis. So how did you assess your campaign overall?
Yeah, getting to the semi-final in the pairs with Kylie Labus was extraordinary, considering we didn't quite make the section last year. That was probably my fault. I'm not going to lie there. We did lose on the last bowl to Chloe. She just played a great bowl, and there's nothing we can do, especially when we have no bowls left. I love playing with Kylie. She is so chilled and calm. Nothing phases her, but yeah, like I said, Chloe's last bowl was incredible, and just that's what made it matter. She got to the final because of that.
Yeah, you're right about Kylie. She's, I reckon, the most relaxed person in this sport. It's ridiculous. I don't think I've ever seen her stressed in my entire life, or my life knowing her. She's absolutely unbelievable. So how much does that help you when you're playing with someone that's that relaxed?
Well, yeah, I feel like I'm relaxed as well, so nothing really phases me too much. Like, especially when you're like, 4 down and you can't, you tried to draw the shot, but you miss, and she just walks past and goes, "Don't worry, I'll get it." Like, just little things like that. And if we go 4 down, then we go 4 down. But if she draws the shot, then happy day, she draws the shot. It's good with Kylie, because even if we do lose an end, she's exactly the same throughout the whole game. Like, nothing changes in her appearance or anything like that. So if we lose a 6, which hopefully we never do, if we lose a 6, she'll never get mad. She's always happy.
She is. She certainly is. And Cass, as are you. Whenever I see you, there's always a smile on your face, and I can't wait to see that smiling face on the plane to Scotland, making your international debut later in the year. Nobody deserves it more. So very excited for you. Congratulations, and looking forward to catching up soon.
Thank you very much, Val.
Cass Millerick joining me on Without Bias. Great to have her company, and looking forward to seeing how she goes on her international debut in Scotland later this year. And someone else who is going to be doing that is Nick Cahill. He's going to join me right after this on Without Bias for Right at Home, the right care. Right at Home, Australia's premier in-home care provider.
For personalised, private, no waiting, in-home care, rightathome.com.au. This is Without Bias on SEN.
You're listening to Without Bias here on 1116 SEN for Right at Home and Bowls Australia. And of course, the Right Care, Right at Home, Australia's premier in-home care provider. Val Febbo here with you. And a big thank you to Cass Millerick for joining me in the last segment. And another man who is going to be making his international debut is Nick Cahill, and he joins us on the line. Nick, welcome to Without Bias. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you, Val. Always a privilege to be having a chat with you, mate.
Now, you've just done a very bougie trip to Asia flying first class, the only way Nick Cahill should be travelling. How was it?
Well, for those that don't know, and I'm sure most people do, but I do love my flying. I love my aviation. So
you do.
Any chance that I get in my very busy schedule, I will tend to usually go on an overseas trip if I can. I'd love to tick off as many countries as I can in my lifetime, and I reckon I can nearly tick them all off. There's some that I might not want to choose, but I decided to go away for my birthday, which was last weekend. So went to South Korea, China, and over to the Philippines as well, which was awesome.
What was the highlight?
For me, it was definitely Shanghai. I was a little bit of a skeptic. I know we were just talking about this, but I was a little bit of a skeptic about what to expect in China. But once I got there, oh my God, it was the best experience. The hotel that I stayed at in Shanghai, if anybody's going to Shanghai anytime soon, I highly recommend staying by the river in the city. Cool. It was fantastic. The view from my room, I got to see the whole of Shanghai, all the sky, the high rises during the night. It was something out of a movie, Val. It was amazing.
That's unreal. Really, I really want to go to Shanghai, and because after going to China last year, but I got saved before I went. Someone told me about WeChat and Alipay. How did you go with those? Because that was something completely different for me.
I'd never used them either. I didn't experience Alipay, but I did download WeChat so I could access the room service app. That was the only thing I used it for.
Yeah, no, the way you pay for things over there is bizarre. It's all via WeChat. You barely use your card, you barely use cash. It's insane. It's really, really cool. But you'll have another trip later this year to make your Australian debut. That's going to be in Scotland. So how much does this opportunity mean to you?
Look, it's probably the best thing that's going to happen in my sporting career up until this point. When you start a sporting journey, you dream of being on the big stage, and this is something that I've wanted for such a long time. It's something that I've worked really, really hard for. At the end of the day, I can't wait to receive my Australian cap number and represent Australia on the big stage. Me receiving my cap number is not just a recognition of the dedication and hard work that I've put in, but also the sacrifice that my family have put in for 20 odd years now. They've been the most supportive people that I could ever ask for in my life. So this is not just a dedication to me, but to my family ultimately as well.
Your family, and I've met both your parents, they are two of the nicest people I think I've ever met. Will they be making the trip over to Scotland to watch, or are they going to have to just look at some photos that you flick them through?
We always discussed that if I was lucky enough to make my Australian debut, that we would hope it was in Australia, because my dad unfortunately doesn't get on aeroplanes, which is ironic that his son does, but unfortunately they won't be there. Mum would come over, but I think she might be busy at that time of the year. So there'll definitely be some FaceTime calls back home and some videos taken when I do get presented with my cap for sure. For sure.
And I asked this to Cass earlier. Who was your initial inspiration to become a Jackaroo?
Oh, it's so hard to single someone out, Val. So many different people from so many facets of life. The sporting greats of other sports. You know that I love my tennis. So I look at the greats of Roger Federer and Rafa Nadal and Novak Djokovic and look at what they've achieved in my career and in their career. And, I want to do the same in mine. And on a bowls side of things, it's going to be an absolute privilege to join the illustrious Jackaroos club, I suppose you could say, alongside some of the greats such as Kelvin Kirko, Aaron Sheriff, Steve Glasson, Karen Murphy, Rebecca Van Ash. It's something very special that I'll hold forever.
Well, yeah, it's something that only, I think, 200 and, or maybe just over, 230, 40 people have made their debut as a Jackaroo from this country. So it's a very small group of people that you'll be joining, which is quite amazing. And what are you hoping to learn from this Scottish experience for your own career, and how can you benefit from it?
Yeah, I'm excited to watch and learn how the Scots play on the indoor surface. We get a great chance back here in Australia to be able to watch them play in a lot of events on the indoor surface. Mainly coming to mind is the World Indoor Championships at Potters, which they make it look so easy, and they're so talented with, their, I'm trying to find the word, their consistency on the surface over there. I really admire that, and their shot selection. It'll be really great. As much as I really want to go out there with my Aussie teammates and put them to the sword, it'll be great to watch and learn from them on how they play on that surface.
Is it going to be bizarre? I know you've played against him at the BPL, and also Paul Foster, but you possibly will be making your international debut against those two, Alex Marshall and Paul Foster, which, that's quite unbelievable. Two of the greats of the game. And you could be standing there when they're in their Scottish colours and you're in your Australian. Does that daunt you in any way, or what are your feelings when you hear that?
Do you know what? If you had have asked me that question probably 2-3 years ago, I reckon I would have said yes, it was daunting. But the fact that I've played against these guys a few times now at BPL, UBC, other events around the place, it's not daunting. Like for me, it's just another game of bowls now. The player that plays the best bowls on the day can win, and that's proven in bowls that anybody can win any game. So no, it's not daunting. I mean, those guys have got a lot of experience on their shoulders, and it'll be great to play against them and learn from them. But like I said, I hope that we can bring home the chocolates in the series.
And you've been overseas in the last few years for the World Bowls Junior Indoor Championships, which was held, I think, was it Northern Ireland for you, or was it Scotland?
Belfast for me, Northern Ireland.
Belfast, there you go. So you've had experience at that event with quick indoor greens. How much will you lean on that experience?
Yeah, that was an awesome experience. That was my first real international bowls competition, I suppose. But I did learn a lot from that upon reflection, that trip. I think the importance of following your processes in a major event like that, and performing under pressure, it really showed how critical it is performing under pressure. And it's not an easy thing to do, and it's what separates the best from the rest. But I learned a lot about the surface, how the UK players tend to go about their game style and their tactical play on the indoor surface. And it was really eye-opening what bowls I should use as well. I mean, I took over a tourney set of bowls, which I've noticed a lot of the UK players do use turning bowls. So I got used to them pretty quickly, and I've used something similar on surfaces out here in Australia ever since.
So is that the go for Scotland this year as well? Will you take a wider set of bowls that will hoop in a little bit more like what they play with over there?
Shout out to Aero Bowls, but I do love my Aero Revolutions. So I use a size 3 model. I think some of the players tend to use a slightly bigger model when they play indoors. But I've always felt really comfortable using size 3s and felt that they've worked for me. So, the Aero Revolution are a fairly turny bowl. They're not the biggest turning bowl that Aero have, but they are wider than what we would use here in Australia, like an Aero Optima. They're slightly wider than those.
Very much looking forward to seeing how those Revolutions go in Scotland later this year, Nick. So well deserved the fact that you're making your Australian debut. Not many people deserve it more, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how it goes. Thank you so much for joining me on Without Bias.
Thanks, Val. Thank you so much, mate. Really appreciate the kind words.
Right at home, Jackaroo Nick Carl joining me on Without Bias. What a superstar he is. He's such a great speaker as well. So looking forward to seeing how he goes in Scotland later this year. He'll be a right at home Jackaroo. Looking forward to seeing how he gets his cap or who presents it to him. It's always a special moment for anyone that makes their Australian debut, no matter what sport it is. That's all we've got time for tonight on Without Bias. Thank you very much for tuning in, and looking forward to catching you next week at the same time at 10 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time right here on 1116 SEN. But until then, you can stay in touch with Bowls Australia on our social channels on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, as well as bowls.com.au. Val Febbo joining you once more for Without Bias, and also this has been for Right at Home, the Right Care Right at Home, Australia's premier in-home care provider for personalised, private, no waiting in-home care. Visit rightathome.com.au. Have a great night.